Greetings to our constituents, all Floridians and all Americans. It's Representative Allen West, and thanks for joining me for another one of our weekly video updates. Of course, without a doubt, the thing that we have to consider is the president out being a campaigner-in-chief and not a commander-in-chief. He continues to talk about his American Jobs Bill and American Jobs Act, which he wants to see the Congress pass. The president is not telling people the truth about the fact that his bill did not even pass through a Senate. Very much so is the same as his fiscal year 2012 budget was shot down 0 to 97. This also was a bipartisan defeat of that legislation. And now the president is not telling the truth about the fact that here in the House of Representatives, his bill, the Americans Jobs Act, does not have one single Democrat co-sponsor. So it is not House Republicans that are standing in the way of what the president seeks to do. Just another $447 billion mini-me stimulus. It is the president, once again, who must come to grips with his failed tax policies, economic policies, monetary policies, and regulatory policies. Now, the president continues to tell people that, those House Republicans, they're dysfunctional, they're out of control, they don't have a plan. Well, I'd like to show each and every one of you a copy of the plan that we have. This is something that you could have gone down and pulled off of jobs.gop.gov, but this is a handy-dandy, easy to understand 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-point plan that we have done. The first point, empower small business and reduce government barriers to job creation. And being a member of the Small Business Committee, this is one of the key things we have to do to make sure that those closed storefronts that you see all through our congressional district can once again be reopened based upon the right type of tax and regulatory policies that set the conditions for their growth. Fix the tax code to help job creators. We cannot continue to hear this rhetoric about class warfare coming from this president's mouth. The fact that I sit here today, born and raised in the inner city of Atlanta, Georgia 50 years ago, is a testimony to the fact of the exceptionalism of the United States of America, whereby it is not about where you are born in this country, because that does not determine your station later in life. America has never been about class or caste. America is about exceptionalism. America is about rewarding those individuals, that entrepreneurial spirit, their investment, their ingenuity, their innovation. Americans still do have imagination, Mr. President, but the thing that is hurting American imagination are your failed economic policies. We want to boost American competitiveness for American manufacturers. Once again, when President Obama took over in January of 2009, our global competitiveness rating was #1. Now we're #5. Let's get our corporations and businesses to come back to the United States of America so that we can have production and manufacturing, so we can be makers and doers, investors, and not just debtors. Point #4, encourage entrepreneurship and growth. Let's do the right things by instilling the confidence and the certainty out there amongst the private sector so that they will want to have that desire to come up with new ideas, to come up with new products. That's America, Mr. President, and we can do that. #5, maximize American energy production. All across the world, you see China out seeking raw materials and energy resources. Our hard-earned American taxpayer dollars are going to Saudi Arabia or to Venezuela or even maybe potentially to Brazil, which is where the president decided to give $2 billion of our taxpayer money so that they can do offshore drilling. Yet we have legislation that is asking this president, asking Harry Reid to lift a moratorium so we can get people back to work. And finally, pay down America's unsustainable debt burden and start living within our means. One of the great things about the Budget Control Act of 2011 that I voted for was that between 1 October and the end of the year, both the House and the Senate must vote on a balanced budget amendment. The same balanced budget amendment that some 16 years ago came within one vote in the Senate from passing. That will be a great step to getting us living within our means. The numbers are out. Fiscal year 2011, a 6.5% increase in revenues in the United States of America. Yet we still had a $1.3 trillion deficit. That, Mr. President, is your third straight trillion-dollar plus deficit year. 1.42 trillion, 1.29 trillion, 1.3 trillion, which goes along with the fact that on Inauguration Day, Mr. President, $10.6 trillion worth of debt to the United States of America. Today, that debt is getting close to $14.7 trillion. Now, on the back of this simple little note that talks about the 6 points of supporting America's job creators are the 15 pieces of legislation that sit on Harry Reid's desk that have passed the United States House of Representatives that are directly related to those 6 points. See, Mr. President, the difference between us as House Republicans and you as the President of the United States of America, we don't believe in being show ponies. We don't believe in grandstanding. We do have a plan, and we've been trying to enact our plan. But unlike you, you believe in going out and using the bully pulpit to promote failed policies, and we're not about that. So what we ask, Mr. President, when you say that we can't wait, well, we can't wait for you to call up Harry Reid and ask him to pass these 15 points, these 15 pieces of legislation. We can't wait, Mr. President. Please get in line with our 6 points. But, sir, the thing that most troubles me is that you don't understand the Constitution of the United States of America. We're co-equal branches. You are not an imperial president, and you cannot rule us by executive order edict. So really and truthfully, Mr. President, we can't wait until you're gone from the White House. I want to close by talking a little bit more about what we see with this super committee. I really believe that there are some members on the other side of the aisle that are sitting on this super committee that are not going to do the necessary hard work to ensure that we can find that $1.2 to $1.5 trillion of savings over the next 10 years. Why? It's because they would love to see us decimate our military. Another $500 to $600 billion of budget cuts to the United States Department of Defense over the next 10 years will, as Secretary of Defense Panetta and also Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff General Dempsey said, destroy this fighting force and hollow it out. And I can speak as one who went through severe budget cuts in the United States military. I don't want to see our men and women be put in harm's way without having the tools and the resources necessary for victory. I don't want to see our military have to go through what I had to go through when we had to budget toilet paper. We didn't have enough ammunition. We didn't have the spare parts. We already see some of our aircraft frames that are falling from the sky because of the ages. The F-18s, the F-15s, the A-10s, and some of our helicopter fleet that is suffering tremendously. Those people who are Democrats and who sit on this super committee, I implore you to do what is right and not sacrifice our men and women. Our military and our veterans cannot be the bill payers for the fiscal irresponsibility that we have seen emanating out of Washington, D.C. And as a 22-year veteran of the United States military, having my friends still wearing that uniform, the soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen, to include my nephew, I am not going to allow anyone to decimate the defense of the United States of America. My closing point is this. Terrible decision in that the generals on the ground, General Austin, requested 10,000 to 15,000 troops to remain in Iraq. They had initially said 3,000, and now it went to 0. It's a failure of leadership when we could not secure a status of forces agreement to protect our men and women who fought so hard to ensure that Iraq can stand today as a sovereign nation. I am very concerned about Iran being able to extend their regional hegemonic dominance through Iraq to Syria, to Lebanon, using Hezbollah as their proxy army, and of course their alliance that they have with Hamas already in the Gaza Strip, and what that bodes for the future security of the modern-day state of Israel. Since we have told Hosni Mubarak to step down from Egypt, in him being deposed, we have not seen anything positive coming out of that situation there. Once again, the world's largest ethnic group without a homeland, the Kurdish people that I had a great opportunity to get to meet when I was stationed over in Iraq back in 2003. Now they are pressed from the north by Turkey. They could be pressed even harder by Iran. It's the second time that we've turned our back on the Kurdish people. Ladies and gentlemen, we cannot have someone that believes in making strategic decisions based upon political expediency. Our men and women cannot afford to have failures in leadership. They need a commander-in-chief, not a campaigner-in-chief. And I just want to once again say that as long as I am here as a representative of the United States of America, the people of Congressional District 22, we're going to fix our fiscal situation. It will not be done on the backs of our men and women. And we're going to make sure that we have visionary leadership that ensures that our security decisions are made with strategic foresight and not just being concerned about the next election cycle. With those things being said, I want to close by letting you know once again how much of a privilege and an honor it is to be sitting here in the greatest nation that the world has ever known as a member of Congress. God bless you all, and thank you.